Hi, I'm Suzanne Castle, and this is the Thought Leader Thursday. I'm here today introducing you to another incredible leader, thinker, doer, and all-around amazing human who's going to help each of us think about our world a little bit differently than anyone else. From artists to teachers, from actors to moms, from the big names to the you didn't know about them till now names, my hope is that you will connect with a leader who helps you light up in your corner of this galaxy. This is the Thought Leader Thursday show. Welcome back to the Thought Leader Thursday. I'm Suzanne Castle, your host, where every single time that we get together, I am introducing you to another amazing person, leader, showstopper, thought leader in the world that you need to know. Before I let you in on our amazing guest who's going to knock your socks off. Okay, Garrett, today we're going to be talking a lot about branding. And so I am so curious, what brands are your favorite to follow?
That's difficult. Well, I guess I say that's difficult, but I'm wearing a Vans t-shirt. I like a lot of Vans stuff. I think I mentioned too on the show before, I have a bunch of Converse shoes, stuff like that. Every guitar I own is a Fender guitar.
There you go.
I'd like to branch out, but that's just all I've gotten so far. So I guess there's just to name a few, some of those.
Well, I really like the brands that you follow. You've got this sometimes California girl's heart, because I love the whole Vans and Fender and kind of surfer vibe myself, and it's all super comfortable. And the reason that I wanted to know about brands, and I hope right now you're thinking about your favorite brands and why you might follow them or what attracts you to them, is because we're going to talk with Chelsey Marie. Let me tell you a little bit about Chelsey Marie. She is the go-to brand and web designer of women entrepreneurs and me all over the world, and little old me here in Texas. She's the founder of IamChelseyMarie.com, and her mission, her mantra, the movement that she is creating is to help women bravely be themselves in business by creating an online presence that not only helps them shine, but helps them stand out from the crowd, captivates and converts more clients online. She launched her very own brand of spotlight to stages into six figures by the age of 22. At 22, she was making over six figures. And after working with her, I can attest, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but her clients have seen 10 times the revenue and their list sizes grow because she just gets the gist of what it is to bravely stand out online. She's the creator of the popular program like Fan Page Transformation. I think it's got like 900 enrolled students or some wonderful number. Brave Your Own Brand Design course, and she has her own podcast called Dream Dare Do. She's from the Pacific Northwest. Chelsey, I'm so glad to see you. Welcome into the studio.
Thanks for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Are you kidding? I am honored. Here's the thing that I remember about you. I remember lots from our conversations over the years. But the very first time I saw you, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know what you did. But you chassayed into this room, and you had on this divine hot pink off-the-shoulder pantsuit, and then you stepped up on the stage. I didn't even realize I was going to get to hear you speak, and you just literally captured that room with your voice, how you stood there, with your content, and I was like, I don't know what I got to do, but I got to work with her. You really do understand that branding is this buzzword, and we're hearing about it a lot in all kinds of different spaces, but you understand it differently, I think, than anybody else that I know. So let's start out and help the audience here understand really from your perspective, what is branding?
Well, okay. So branding, most people think it's just your logo or it's just your visuals. And in order to be a brand, you have to be this like huge name in whatever industry you're in, but that's not the case. You only become the huge name in your brand, like in your industry, by saying who you are right away, right off the bat, right? Yes. And so that's really the myth or the misconception that I like to burst when I talked about branding, because branding is the experience you provide to your customers, your visuals, and your voice, and how those three things work together to help you hone your vision and to attract the right people and get that visibility that's so vital to the success of your business. So I like to think about it like your brand is your first impression to anyone who's viewing you on the internet.
Right. I think that's very well said. And I know when we first started working together, I had this encounter at Costco, and I had worn a sparkly t-shirt, and I'm in Costco a lot, probably more than I should be. And I tend to have the same woman check me out every single time at the end with all my piles and piles of stuff, lots of wine. And when she was checking me out, she's like, you always just exude so much joy. I don't even know what you do in the world, but you just sparkle every time you're in here. And I was like, bam, we had just had a conversation, Chelsey and I, about the sparkle factor and how you show up. And every time you go anywhere, you need to embrace what that looks like and what that feels like. And it was just like this extra message of goodness that you have been pouring into me, that really branding is so much more than a logo and how that's embraced in the world. And I know that you know that branding is important, that it helps, like you said, attract people towards you. You've taught me so much about that. And when you have a hot brand, what I have noticed is that it does affect your bottom line. It affects your revenue and even the kind of gigs that you're getting or the clients that are drawing towards you. So could you talk to us a little bit about how you think branding does actually affect that bottom line?
Yeah. I mean, branding like is that buzzword, right? And so if we're having a problem in our business, sometimes we can point directly at our brand, right? Like if you're not getting quite the right people in your communities, or you're not hitting quite the right note with people online, right? Like things move so quickly on Instagram, on Facebook. It only takes 3 seconds for someone to really create that lasting first impression. And that first impression on the internet determines whether they're going to click read more or click away forever. And so I really like to think about it like that, because it can have a genuinely huge impact. 46% of your brand is also your voice of the brand, right? And that voice of the brand is going to determine whether or not someone purchases from you. Color impacts brand recognition 80%. When you are consistent about the colors that you use and the way that they're used, it really creates more brand recognition, no matter how big you are in your industry or how big you might become in your industry, right? And more importantly, 52% of consumers will make a decision to purchase from you solely based on the brand aesthetic.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And so when we think about these things and we think about the psychological impact that colors and font and imagery and mood can have on our brains and how connected we feel to a company, then the numbers just can match that, right? Revenue, right? So how many sales are you bringing in? Are you stopping them from scrolling past your content on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever social media platform you're on? And are they paying attention and actually paying you?
Right.
And the beautiful thing about that is not only do I believe those things, but I think that my clients have seen the results of those. Because no matter what you are saying, your brand is, saying a whole lot about you. And so, in fact, I'll just give you the 5 things that your brand, like people assume about you, given the fonts, colors, word choice, where you are presented, the experience you provide. Right. They assume your quality. So like, what level of quality am I going to receive from this person? Is it high end or is it low ticket? They assume your brand values, what you stand for, just based on some of those pieces. They assume your level of, quality, but also your position in your industry. Yeah. Like how good and how professional are you? They assume your price point before they even see it. And they assume just different personality things about you, right? Like you may be saying one thing and it may be saying something completely different depending on small tweaks.
Right. And I think those tweaks are really important. And I think that's why it's really good to have someone outside of your own self helping you strategize about that and kind of giving an overview. I know that when I first came towards you and I will say your website and the things that you put out is super high end, super high level. It screams Shazam and glam and amazingness. And so I thought to myself, well, there's no way that I'm going to be able to, one, afford her, or two, she is not going to want to take me on as a client because my stuff is a circus. And it's because I did everything. I mean, I thought my brand was what I wanted it to be, but what I found out was my brand was actually battering my sales, because even though it was joyful, it really didn't represent the kind of stages that I was speaking on, the kind of people that I was working. And without me even realizing it, I was repelling the kind of people that I really did want to be working with. And you came in and did an audit for me, and it was so clear in that moment that I needed to be working with you. So I know that you for the last year or so have really been helping women entrepreneurs think about how to be brave with their brand and how to show up online, and you kind of have a system that you walk through that anybody at any level could really use your services in. You don't have to have tons and tons of money, and you don't have to have 1,000 speaking engagements a year. It's wherever that you are in that you can help people bravely stand out online. And I would love for you to take just a moment or two and kind of let us know what that means and the best way to come towards you to help others bravely stand out online.
Oh, I love that. Well, I love that it made you feel braver in your sparkle and the joy that you bring to the world. Because, I mean, I genuinely just think you're so powerful in how you show up. Yeah. And it's, that is the magic, right? Like your brand, no matter whether you're building like a personal brand, a company brand, or even the brand of a product that you're selling, you have to realize that to some extent, your personality and your brand is you, right? And so when it comes to bravely being yourself online, I mean, we're all nervous about that first impression we're making, and it can make a huge impact. And so when you're starting to build that brave brand, there's a few steps I take clients through, right? So one is understanding what kind of brand are you actually building, right? And getting really clear about what words you want to be associated with that brand, and where you want to grow it. Because if you can understand those pieces, you won't have to rebrand every 2 years, right?
Yes.
Because that's just like a money drain, quite frankly, and it's useless. The second piece of that is, once you understand how you want to show up and who you want to serve, you can infuse that into your visuals. So making choices about colors, not necessarily just because you like them, but because they reflect the feeling and the emotion that you want people to have when they interact with your brand. So crazy powerful. And that's just one of the visual elements, but it's a good place to start, because again, 80% more brand recognition when you start with color, right?
Right.
The third step is to really infuse that into the voice of your business. So what is your voice? How is your voice different than your business's voice? Right. And for some of you, it's not going to be different, right? Like for me, it's not that different. For Suzanne, it's not that different. And so when you are writing content for social media, because we all have to do it, right? Writing content for your website, how true to how you speak to your best friend are you?
Yes.
And then the fourth step is about understanding how that goes into your online presence. Where are you showing up? What kind of website do you have? What social media platforms are you on? It is a myth that your business needs to be represented everywhere to become a successful brand.
Right.
And last but not least, how are you driving traffic back to your website? And that is the system in which I really work with my clients, whether it's on an individual private level or in any of our services and our programs. It's kind of taking you step by step through that so that you can build a business and a brand really in your industry. And so my first and my biggest recommendation for braving your own brand is to get consistent. Get consistent about the visuals you use first, because it is the scroll stopping effect that you are looking for.
Absolutely. So if people wanted to find out more about Brave Your Own Brand, or to talk with you further about how maybe you could do an audit for them, where would you want me to drive people? And I'll be sure and drop it in the comments and in the chat. How can we do that?
come on over to iamchelseamarie.com and you'll find free training there. You'll find my podcast there. So there's good like free resources for you. And if you are looking to give a little investment into your business, whether it's doing it yourself or doing it with me, you can check that out on the Work With Me tab too.
Fabulous, fabulous. I will definitely drive people that way. Now, the last thing that I always ask everybody, and Chelsey Marie, thank you so much for giving so much of your time, is I love, because I do represent the sparkle factor, so I can't let you go until you give us your definition of what it means to sparkle.
I think that what it means to truly sparkle is to own who you are, like unapologetically and with your full sparkle, right? Like not all of us are the beam of light that Suzanne is. Some of us are more subdued. If you're quirky, be quirky. If you are really bold and bright, be bold and bright. Like don't dim your light for anyone else's.
Right. That is fabulous. Chelsey Marie, thank you so much. Remember to go to iamchelseamarie.com to find out more about how you can work with her, alongside her, and she's tons and tons of free resources for you there. So be sure you visit that. And next time, jump in with us because we're going to have more on how you can show up as your best and very amazing self in the world on the next Thought Leader Thursday. I'm Suzanne Castle. Thanks for checking us out. See you soon.